Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's December 6th, 2016. In this video, we're going to review some of the rigging from NFL Week 13, which just passed. This is more definitive proof of how professional sports are scripted by the numbers. We're also going to talk about how collegiate sports are scripted by the numbers and why the College Football Championship upcoming January 9th, 2017 will likely be Alabama and Ohio State. Let's begin with the final game of Week 13, the Indianapolis Colts at the New York Jets. This game went just as I wrote about on my blog Sunday morning and again Monday morning. In case you never come to my blog, it's freetofindtruth.blogspot.com. My NFL threads are worth following because hundreds of people comment and share knowledge and information. If you want to learn this numerology, gematria skill and how sports are scripted by it, follow these discussion threads. You can learn from hundreds of people just by participating. You don't even have to comment, you can just read. Again, in every single post down in the description, I link my How to Gematria video and my blog, freetofindtruth.blogspot.com. With every game, when I begin my decodes, I always start with the date the game's on. Monday Night Football was December 5th, 2016, which happened to be a date with 53 numerology. 53 is the number of men on an NFL roster. It also happens to match the gematria of the name Johnny Unitas. Johnny Unitas, a name I've been talking about all season. In February of this year, after the last Super Bowl concluded, I said the next Super Bowl will likely be the Colts and the Giants. And I could be wrong, but again, I have a track record of being right. In the last year, I've called all three of the major sports championships correctly from before the season began or the first month of the season. For MLB, I said Cubs in spring training. They won it. For the NBA, in preseason, I said it'll be Cavs over Warriors. This is the Cavs year. Everything lines up. That happened. Even when the Cavs were down 3-1, I said, don't flinch. The Cavs are coming back to win this. It doesn't matter that it's never happened. It's all scripted for them this year. That happened. And the other sports championship was the Super Bowl last year in October. I said the Broncos would win. By November, I figured out it would be Broncos over Panthers. Along the way, I said Von Miller would be the MVP. There'd be a Black Panther tribute. All of those things happened. If you want to go back and watch my videos, they're all on this channel. They're all free to watch. There's not a single commercial on any of my videos. Well, except for like two. That's because I shared somebody else's video and they had commercials on theirs. But anyway, I don't put commercials on my videos. I hate commercials, I hate lies, I love truth, and I love teaching people real knowledge to help them out. That's what I'm here for. That's why I do this. That's why I work so hard. I want my fellow man to wake up and see the world as I see it. I've known that these pro sports leagues are scripted since I was a child. It took me until I was 30 years old to figure out how they were scripted by the numbers. Now you can know too. So yesterday's date had the 53 numerology. It also had the 33 numerology, and 33 is a huge number on Monday Night Football, always. MNF for Monday Night Football equals 33. This game was a rematch of Super Bowl III, Baltimore Colts, Johnny Unitas, versus New York Jets, Joe Namath. Joe Namath equals 33. Look how the date numerology synced up with the names of those former quarterbacks for the teams. The Colts this year are also in their 33rd season of being in Indianapolis. They moved from Baltimore at the end of the 1983 season, and then their first season in Indy was 1984. United States of America, 84. If you've never read the book 1984, one of the most remembered quotes is, all it took to rule over the people was beer, football, and gambling. 1984, written after World War II, very much about the nation we now live in. I want to make a quick point on 33 in regards to this season. Again, in February of this past year, I said the upcoming Super Bowl will likely be Giants and Colts, a rematch of the greatest game ever played. This year's Super Bowl is in Houston. The Houston Texans are hosting Super Bowl 51. In Gematria, Houston Texans equals 51. How fitting that they're hosting Super Bowl 51. San Francisco equals 50. They hosted Super Bowl 50. It was the golden anniversary. The 49ers are named after the gold rush. They hosted the golden anniversary of the Super Bowl. Another funny thing, last year's Super Bowl was played February 7th, the 38th day of the year. The word gold equals 38. Colorado won it from the 38th state. Colorado in Gematria equals 38, just like gold. And they defeated the Panthers Panthers equals 38. So anyway, here's 33 years ago. This is 1983. The Houston Oilers. What we're looking at is Archie Manning and Oliver Luck. Archie Manning is the father of Eli Manning and Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning used to play for the Colts. He retired last year at age 39. What's funny about him retiring at age 39 is Indianapolis is on the 39th parallel. Manning had 399 touchdown passes with the Colts, 3-9. Retires at 39. Anyway, his father, Archie Manning, played for the Saints when they were the Aints. Then he went to the Houston Oilers. Then he went to the Minnesota Vikings. Think about how Peyton Manning, the only Super Bowl the Saints have ever won was over Peyton Manning, Archie's son, when he was on the Colts. That was Super Bowl 44. Anyway, 33 years ago, 1983, Archie Manning and Oliver Luck, teammates. This is the father of Eli Manning on the Giants. And this is the father of Andrew Luck on the Colts. And again, they were in Houston where the Super Bowl is this year. How interesting is that? Last year at the time of the Super Bowl, I showed the ESPN article on how the NFL is a father and son league. Think about it. So 33 years later, here we are in 2016. Let me make one more quick point about 1983. They say that 1983 was the best NFL draft QB class ever. The word football in gematria equals 83. 83, the best draft class. John Elway was a part of that class. John Elway was drafted number 1 overall that year out of Stanford by the Baltimore Colts, their last year there, and then traded to the Denver Broncos. Think about how Andrew Luck was drafted number 1 overall out of Stanford by the Colts, and because of that, it sent Peyton Manning to play for the Broncos under John Elway. You see? Part of the reason why in February I said this relationship with the Mannings and the Colts is why I see a Giants and Colts Super Bowl. Plus, if you go back, I talked about the death of Frank Gifford, what the history of the Colts and Giants is, and a number of other things. A lot of clues that the Super Bowl this year very well could be Colts and Giants. Still to see if that happens. So anyway, the date numerology, 53, 33, numbers of the quarterbacks of years past for the Colts and Jets, Johnny Unitas and Joe Namath. They brought up Johnny Unitas in the game, which we'll talk about in a moment. What I documented before the game was this. Andrew Luck was going to play, these are his stats before last night's game. So he played 65 regular season games, he had 40 wins. I was pointing out that his next game would be his 66th, and he was going for his 41st win. And last night, lo and behold, he ended up winning with 41 points. The Colts are originally from Baltimore. Baltimore equals 41. Super Bowl equals 41. Jim Irsay equals 41. This year, Jim Irsay bought Prince's guitar that he performed with at Super Bowl 41, where the Colts won over the Bears. You might have saw Moncrief playing the guitar after his last touchdown last night, and I really do think that was all part of the tribute, ongoing. Prince, who performed in Super Bowl 41, died this year on a date with 41 Numerology, April 21st, 2016, 421. I would die for you, as he said in 1983. The day Prince died was also the 112th day of the year. Houston equals 112, so does Andrew Luck, so does Horseshoe. Andrew Luck's father played in Houston. Andrew Luck played his high school ball in Houston. With regards to this being his 66th career game, Andrew Austin Luck, his birth name, has gematria of 66, and so does NFL in Jewish gematria. The first Super Bowl was in the 66th season. Think about it. From his birthday to the Sunday games, Sundays when the majority of the games were played, from his birthday to this Sunday's games was 83 days. 83 is the football number. Again, 83 was the year that Manning and Luck were teammates in Houston. To Monday Night Football was 84 days, and 84 is the number for United States of America. Also, the first year the Colts played in Indianapolis. And he got this big symbolic win by the numbers. We're going to talk more about his score. I want to point out that Luck is 27 years old right now. The owner of the team, Jim Irsay, who got it from his father, Robert Irsay. Irsay also equals 27. So, last night's score, the final score was 41-10. Andrew Luck gets his 41st win. He came out of the game right after the 41st point was scored. And you know, I can't prove this. My girlfriend knows it's true, but at halftime, I bet her a nice little personal bet between us, which got me a nice reward last night. I bet her that the score would be 41-10 at halftime. She likes to watch the Colts games this year because she begged me to take her down to Vegas in March. In March, we bet on the Super Bowl. I only bet on 2 teams this year. I almost put money on a few other teams, but I only put it on the Colts and Giants. I bet on them to win their conference championships and bet money on both of them to win the Super Bowl because I was torn on who would win. I hope, honestly, if that is the matchup, the Giants win because it pays way more. But anyway, final score last night, 41-10. I bet my girlfriend at halftime that the score would be 41-10 in the end, based on what it was at halftime. At halftime, it was 24-3. I said, watch, 41-10 will be our final score. And here's why. 41, we talked about how this connects to Super Bowl, Baltimore, Jim Irsay, the Colts winning Super Bowl 41. 41 plus 10 is 51. This is the year of Super Bowl 51. Again, Houston Texans equals 51. They're hosting. Also, think about how it'll be 10 years since the Colts won Super Bowl 41. If you write out the number 10 as a word, it sums to 39. New York equals 39. New York, after this loss, fell to 3-9. They were 3-8 coming into the game. They fell to 3-9. New York equals 39. Indianapolis on the 39th parallel. This year, the Super Bowl is in NRG Stadium. NRG equals 39. NRG Stadium construction began March 9th, 3/9. Not a coincidence. The Super Bowl this year is also LI, which kind of sounds like Eli Manning. LI, L is the 12th letter, 1 plus 2 in numerology becomes 3, I is the 9th. LI breaks down to 3-9. So, 41-10, very suspicious score. By the numbers, no doubt scripted. At one point, the score was 41-3. And think about it, 41 represents Super Bowl. So this score, if you read it in code, is Super Bowl 3. And this was the rematch of Super Bowl 3. The Jets won over the Colts in Super Bowl 3, 16-7, a lot like 167, which is the 39th prime number. Every single Super Bowl won by a New York team, which is won by the Jets and 4 by the Giants. Every single Super Bowl won by those teams connects back to 39. The last time the Colts won was in Indianapolis on the 39th parallel. I might have just said that wrong. The last time the Giants won was in the Colts Stadium on the 39th parallel on a date with 39 numerology. The time before that the Giants won was in Arizona, one of only 2 states with the Gematria 39. The other's New York, plus more. Think about how Eli Manning wears the number 10. G-Min in Gematria equals 39, just like New York. NYC equals 42, NYG equals 46. The Giants won Super Bowl 42, Super Bowl 46, their last 2 wins. Andrew Luck last night, he had 3 touchdown passes to number 83. Hello, the football number. You know, on one of them, the announcers were saying, how are they leaving him wide open? It's because the games are scripted. The announcers are there to help you make excuses for the obvious rigging. And if you pay attention to these numerical systems, you see how these announcers are seemingly in the know because they're dropping knowledge about these numbers to mostly unknowing minds. So here was number 83, Dwayne Allen. He had 3 touchdowns, the tight end. Again, it was 83 days from Luck's birthday to the majority of the games on Sunday, the big football number. Andrew Luck had 29 passing attempts. The word football, the small way, equals 29. Something else. 23 completions. 83 is the 23rd prime number. How nice. They put up this stat Monday night right here. Most touchdown passes for first 60 games. Dan Marino, who never won a Super Bowl, first place with 160. What's really interesting is I've been saying all year, there's these parallels between the Colts and the Packers. Remember, they were supposed to play in the Hall of Fame game, but it was canceled. The last time the Hall of Fame game was canceled, which only happened one time before, the Giants went on to win the Super Bowl. Also, last year, the former coach of the Colts and Packers, Lindy Infante, he died just before Thursday Night Football, where the Colts ended up winning at the Texans. His death was synced up perfectly with the Colts and Packers game this year, where the Colts upset the Packers at home. Part of that losing streak the Packers had. I've been saying all year that when the Colts, should they go to the Super Bowl and win it, it will be reminiscent of the year the Packers did it, where the Packers had a weak defense, their team wasn't seen as that good, but they pulled it out behind Aaron Rodgers. It'll be a very similar narrative with Andrew Luck this year. Remember, it's all scripted. How many games have I shown with Aaron Rodgers doing things scripted by the numbers and Andrew Luck plus all the other players in this league? Anyway, Andrew Luck and Aaron Rodgers perfectly tied. What are the odds? Notice Johnny Unitas is also up here with 119 touchdowns, the QB who played in the greatest game ever played, Giants and Colts. Also played in Super Bowl III. Johnny Unitas died on what date, people? He died on September 11th, 2002, the one-year anniversary of September 11th. A date in most parts of the world that's written 11/9. 119, that special number. All-seeing eye equals 119. Star of David, 119. Master plan, 119. Last year, CBS only put up the graphic one time. 119 days until the Super Bowl. CBS, with their all-seeing eye symbol, they didn't do a countdown for any other week. They just want to tell you when it was 119 days until the Super Bowl. Tribute to the all-seeing eye number. Do you see the math here with the highest and the lowest on the screen as well? Dan Marino 160, Johnny Unitas 119. That's a difference of 41. Baltimore 41. You know what I know about Miami and the Colts as well? Here's some NFL history. The original Seahawks team in the NFL were the Miami Seahawks. They played one season and they folded. The ownership of that team created the Baltimore Colts. Miami and Colts have a relationship in history. There's a riddle here. Difference of 41, Baltimore 41, Super Bowl 41, Jim Irsay 41, Andrew Luck winning with 41 points in his 41st regular season win. One more point I need to make in regards to last night's game that I just popped into my head. Let me take you back to this preview. I want to show you something here. Where did I put that preview up at? Here we go. Andrew Luck, it was his 66th regular season game and 41st win. All time, it was his 72nd game and 44th win. 72, the reflection of 27, like his age, like the name Irsay. Him getting his 44th win in this specific stadium where the Jets and Giants play. The movie Oblivion with Tom Cruise from a few years back, maybe 4 years back now. In that movie, Tom Cruise is standing in the middle of MetLife Stadium. And he's saying that the last Super Bowl ever played was there in 2017. So the upcoming Super Bowl is going to be in 2017. It's in Houston. It's not in MetLife Stadium. But here's what's interesting. Oblivion in Gematria sums to 44. When Andrew Luck came out of the game last night, the score was 41-3, a sum of 44 points. Oblivion equals 44. It was a sum of 44 points. As Andrew Luck came out of the game, he got his 44th career win if you count the playoffs. This year's Super Bowl is on February 5th, 2017, a date with 44 numerology. Could be part of the riddle here. This is the exact stadium shown in that movie, Oblivion. You know? Tom Cruise is wearing a New York Yankees cap. New York Colts. I've shown so many things in the past year if you follow my channel. Do you remember there was a shooting in New York at a T.I. concert, supposedly? A 33-year-old shooter, they said. In all of the photos taken of the supposed chaotic scene, they showed two men next to each other in football jackets. And there was no other football symbolism in all the stuff shown about the news, but the two men standing next to each other in the football jackets, they had on a Colts jacket and a Giants jacket. I thought that was really suspicious. That was from the beginning of this year. But I was already looking at that potential Super Bowl matchup. So there's so many things I've documented over the year. All right. What else is going on here? At halftime, look at this. These are the halftime stats right here. The score was 24-3 at halftime. It was nearly 31-3. Number 84 nearly had a touchdown, and maybe he was supposed to. I'm not sure if the script got blown a little bit there, but he got hit so hard he fumbled it out of bounds, and it became a touchback. Anyway, this is what stood out to me. Andrew Luck at the half had 179 passing yards. 179, which is what? The 41st prime number. This is why I told my girlfriend at the half that I bet her that the final score would be 41-10. I knew how 10 would connect perfectly with 39, 41 would connect perfectly with the Colts and Andrew Luck, 41-10 would be 51, like Super Bowl 51, which I've been talking about since February. So anyway, my girlfriend was happy to lose the bet last night. And I was more than grateful to win. You know? You might be able to get a few extra presents from your girlfriend with this gematria knowledge. You never know the added benefits of knowing gematria. You might have saw the post-game press conference, Todd Bowles getting bleep, 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 bleep on the TV. It's so obvious that these men are nothing more than puppet stooges. This is what we have in the NFL. We have coaches who are puppet stooge actors. We have athletes who are puppet stooge actors, and so many of these coaches used to be players, and if you look at it, the majority of them are born into it. But anyway, the reason he was up there saying the word ass again and again, he kept saying the Colts kicked our ass. It reminded me of Jim Mora Jr. when the 49ers whooped the Colts. But anyway, the word ass has gematria of 39. The Jets fell to 3-9. 39, I've been talking about it for 3 years straight with New York. I mean, I did a brilliant video at the beginning of the season talking about 39, Jets, Bills. Remember? Earlier this year, I showed why the Jets were going to win that game over the Bills. How last year they played each other in 2 games with the exact same score that summed to 39 points. Gematria, let me remind you, is mostly a Jewish practice, and the Jewish faith goes by the 39 books in the Old Testament. And the reason we call them Jewish is because they're not really Jews. They're the fake Jews. They're the false Jews. The 66th book of the Bible says the false Jews will rule in the end times. They're the ones that came over and created the genocide in this nation and have created the nation as we know it. The fake history, the rigged sports, the lies and propaganda in the media every day. Somebody just donated to the Truth Seeker Network Revolution. Thank you. Thank you to all of you who've donated. If you heard that chime, that's what that was. Somebody just donated $33 because I said that's what we're doing. We're taking this number and we're putting it back on them. Here was a tweet that was on Twitter last night. Somebody sent this to me. I guess this became viral during the game. The Colts are on pace to score 112 points tonight. And notice they posted it at 5:53. Here's why that's interesting. Houston equals 112. Andrew Luck equals 112. His mother, Kathy Luck, equals 112. Horseshoe equals 112. Prince this year, who performed in the last Colts Super Bowl win, died on the 112th day of the year. Remember, when the Colts played in Houston this year, that's a game where I got it wrong. I said the Colts are definitely winning this game, and they were kicking the Houston Texans' ass. And remember how it ended? They gave up the 14-point lead with 5 minutes left, and they lost in overtime. I thought, you got to be kidding me, you know? Anyway, that narrative's going to come back into play. That game was 112 days before the Super Bowl in Houston, where the Colts lost at Houston, their division rival. 112 points tonight. The date of this tweet, 53 numerology. The name Derek Schultz equals 553. He tweets at 53 minutes past the hour. This is how the gang does it. You know, who knows if Derek Schultz is even a real person, but I know why this tweet was put out when it was. That's how the gang rolls, putting their tributes out everywhere. And I got to tell you, when this happened on the TV, this was from, this must have been February or March of this year. My girlfriend was on the TV and we were watching, and I was talking to her about how a lot of things were lining up for Colts and Giants for the Super Bowl for this coming year. And I was talking to her about 112, and this came up on the TV while we were both sitting there. When my girlfriend saw this, she's like, we have to go to Vegas and bet. I said, all right, baby, if that's what you want to do, we'll go to Vegas and bet. But anyway, these are supposed to be the stats from Peyton Manning to Marvin Harrison. 112 touchdown passes. Trying to tell you something, you know. Some more rigging this weekend, week 13. I had a feeling the Giants were going to lose, becoming 8-4 as they did because this is the 84th season of the Steelers. It just made too much sense. Giants losing. ESPN put up this stat. Look at this. The last two Steelers wins at home are against the two New York teams. You know? Steelers' last home win was October 9th. Giants got their last loss October 9th. It's all a script. It's Eli Manning's in his 13th season. His star player is Odell Beckham, number 13. This was week 13. This duo up here fell on their number this year. And with regards to 13, let's not forget that Andrew Luck last year missed his first NFL game by the numbers. And in that game that he missed, it was on a date with 13 numerology. Luck, 13, think about it. On that date, if I remember right, the Colts were playing the Jaguars. I know Matt Hasselbeck was the backup. I know that the game went to overtime 13-13. Date 13 numerology, Andrew Luck missing his first career game. Here was another shining example of rigging. I talked about this before the game was even played. I said that the Oakland fire at the warehouse was a ritual. It was a tribute to the Golden State Warriors and possibly also the Raiders. Fire in Gematria equals 38. This was going to be the 38th game all-time between the Bills and Raiders. It was the 38th game all-time in the regular season. And the Raiders won with 38 points the day after the fire news. Raiders 38, fire 38, 38th game in the regular season against the Bills. It's just such a joke. And the turning point in this game was when the Raiders were down 9-24. Those were the original body counts reported for the deaths at the fire. 9 dead, then 24 dead, then 33 dead, then 36 dead. They were down 15. When you write 15, it sums to 38. Came back and won it. Tom Brady, this weekend, number 12, got his 201st win. 26-10, a sum of 36 points. Did you know that Super Bowl 36 was the Rams versus the Patriots with Tom Brady? So 26-10, Tom Brady gets his 201st win. For all of you who write this question, I'm mocking here the way I spelled Gematria. So many people write this. Zach, I don't get which Gematria methods to use. Hello, people. Decode using all of the methods and then take the numbers that are relevant and form the very logical pattern because this is exactly how the powers that be are doing it. These different methods are essentially like synonyms for words. By being aware of all of the methods, you can get the full picture, you know? Use your mind. This is critical thinking. This is logic. It's not magic. I'm not doing anything random. I'm doing the exact same thing for everything, from decoding sports to the news. I'm being thorough and showing you the historical patterns by the numbers. For the idiots who come and go, oh, you're using different methods, that just means you're less making numbers. I mean, that's just a really dumb person's perspective. I have shown how no doubt this is what's being done. Look at who Tom Brady got his 201st win against. The Rams, which in Jewish Gematria equals 201. And notice that 201 is a reshuffling of the numbers from 12. The name Tom equals 12. He wears 12. They make a big deal about number 201. They won with 26 points. The God number, the number that the shape of the football is based on. This was Tom Brady's 262nd career game that he got his 201st win. Every last one of those wins rigged and scripted. Tom Brady, the Patriot Act, the New England Patriots. I don't know how people are deceived by the NFL. I mean, do you guys watch what goes on in the NFL with players like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning? Don't you think it's magical how they always have all day in the pocket, and when they throw to their receivers, no one's guarding them, and everyone's in this soft coverage way off the receivers? Meanwhile, you flip to these other teams that can't win a game. The quarterbacks are running for their life every single play. They have like 1.5 seconds to throw the ball. Meanwhile, it doesn't matter who the offensive line is for Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. They just have all day, every day. Nobody's guarding their receivers. They just throw these little slant passes. They run 100 yards down the field. I mean, it's just so pathetic. It's so pathetic watching pro sports and people not getting the rigging. But let's not forget what happened before Tom Brady and the rigged football outcomes. Just before that, it was the news coverage of the buildings falling down and them telling us they couldn't find the planes or the luggage or the body, but they recovered the paper terrorist passports. They recovered their cloth turbans. It's like saying that Zachary K. Hubbard hijacked a plane and crashed the plane into the building, but we couldn't find the plane, but we found his photo ID and his beanie that he always wears. We recovered that. We know it was Zachary K. Hubbard who crashed the plane in the World Trade Centers. You know, that's what they reported to you on September 11th. They couldn't find the planes, but they found the cloth turbans, the box cutter knives, and the passports. You know, and that's the problem. The American people are so programmed and poisoned in their mind that they can't see how obvious bullshit that is, just like they can't see how Tom Brady with his noodle arm has all day in the pocket to throw to his wide open receivers again and again. And then they can't see that how often the refs move the ball up 1 yard, 2 yards, these crazy spots for the Patriots game after game. Oh, people. And I mean, just look at this. I mean, who plays 262 games and wins 201 of them? Not a mediocre half talent like Tom Brady, only in the scripted, very rigged NFL. Remember, these athletes, they are actors. So many of them go on to movies, TV shows, news reporting. I want to show you what was going on Thanksgiving. Some more duping delight of the fans. Supposedly, the Dallas Cowboys traveled to fix up the poorest fire department station in all of Dallas, number 43. Station number 43, the poorest in Dallas. Why is that so funny? Dallas Cowboys equals 43. Ford equals 43. And what was going on in this commercial? And it really was a commercial. This whole story was made up bullshit. It was an infomercial to sell TVs, furniture, materialism for the Christmas shopping season, and also to sell Ford trucks. And what this was the Dallas Cowboys and Dennis Leary, the guy who's been selling Ford trucks during football for more than a decade. Dennis Leary, the Dallas Cowboys at station or fire department 43, you know? It just couldn't get any more pathetic. I'm so sick of watching how these Zionist Jews and all the puppets they own sell out the masses, and I'm even more sick of watching the sheep fall for it. I wonder how many idiots were watching the game thinking, man, I love those Cowboys, what nice guys to fix up that fire department. And don't kid yourselves, the reason this story came at this time is because there's all this false fire bullshit going on at the same time. A fire set in Israel, a fire set in Tennessee, a fire set in Oakland. Have you ever read the book Fahrenheit 451? It's about how the firemen are used to set fires for agenda, not put them out. That's part of the book. And that book was telling us the truth because your Freemasons are controlled by, your fire departments are controlled by the same Freemasons who do things as rituals. These people are very ritualistic by the numbers. These sports games are rituals. Your firemen are setting fires as rituals. They did it in Tennessee. They did it in Boston. They did it in Oakland. They did it in Israel. Follow the work I've put out. It's all part of a big riddle. I need to do another video on the Book of Joel. Supposedly in Tennessee at Dolly Parton's ranch, they found a page from the Book of Joel. If you haven't watched my videos on that, you got to check it out. I mean, just look at this. 43 with the Ford in the shot. Could it get any more obvious? Could it get any more obvious? I feel bad for the idiot out there saying it's a coincidence. The name of Dennis Leary's Firefighter Foundation, which is a crock of bullshit. Here's a guy who's been paid millions of dollars selling people trucks they don't need. The Leary Firefighters Foundation equals 343. See a 43 in there? I sure do. In Pythagorean gematria, it sums to 163, which is the 38th prime number. The word fire equals 38, as we covered with the Raiders game. Dennis Leary has name gematria of 49, 58, and 112. 58, number of the Freemasons. 112, big number on the upcoming Super Bowl. And I should mention, the last time the Cowboys and the Colts played, that was 777 days before the upcoming Super Bowl. Think about luck in 777. There could be something there with the Colts and the Cowboys. You know? Cowboys and their Colt 45s. Something going on there. Also, earlier this year, I predicted the Colts would make it to the playoffs with a record of 9-7. This is the 97th season of the NFL. One of my readers did some recent work, and he found out that if the Colts go 9-7 and win the Super Bowl, Andrew Luck will earn his 51st win in Super Bowl 51 if it happens that way. Very possible. ESPN. Don't I have this here? Here we go. ESPN wrote this article on September 7th. About how Luck needs to prove that he's worth his money, being the highest paid man in the NFL. They wrote that on September 7th, just before the 97th season of the NFL. That was a date with 52 numerology, the prophecy number. Super Bowl this year is on February 5th, 5/2. Show you this real quick. Colts and Cowboys, Super Bowl 5. 16-13. Colts won it with 16 points. Here we are in the 2016 season. It's possible that I could be wrong. It could be Colts and Cowboys instead of Colts and Giants. Cowboys and Giants play in the same division. This 777 days from their last game to the Super Bowl. Here it is right here. Very interesting. 7-7-7. The date of that game, very interesting numerology. The score was 49 points. The game was in Dallas. Dallas equals 49. We'll see. Square root of 49 is 7. 777 days. Luck, gambling, Las Vegas. Think about what 777 represents in Vegas. The jackpot. So now here's something that I think is interesting. There's a natural element to these numbers. You know, some people watch my videos and they say, you know, maybe these sports really do all go by the numbers, but maybe it's God. Maybe God's making it all happen by the numbers. And you know what? Anything's possible. I don't think that's what's going on, but it's possible. My girlfriend happens to think that that's more of what I figured out. She doesn't think that they could script the games as they do. She sees all my correct predictions and how often they land on the numbers, like last night where I told her the game would be 41-10. But she thinks that maybe this is just like God's plan. So anyhow, I know that there's an organic side to these numbers, and I think sadly it hit Earl Thomas with his injury. Earl Thomas, I have no doubt, really hurt himself. They're saying his injury could be career-ending. I don't know if they're overstating that. Sometimes they make these players quit by the numbers. But Earl Thomas definitely got hurt. I mean, he was running hard. He collided with the biggest, strongest, fastest-moving man in the NFL, arguably, Cam Chancellor. And they're saying he fractured his leg and he could be done for. Now, the NFL's full of fake injuries, so it's hard to know when they're over-exaggerating. But up here in Seattle, they're saying Earl Thomas might be done. And I have to admit, even though I know the NFL's rigged and I don't respect these athletes who participate in it, there's something about Earl Thomas I've always liked. He's humble. You know, he just seems like a decent dude as far as people go in the NFL. There's other players like that, like Frank Gore. He's someone who's always been humble. Alex Smith. There's guys in the NFL who, even though I know they're playing in these rigged leagues, they seem all right. Earl Thomas is one of these guys. Here's what happened to Earl Thomas. He got in this bad injury exactly 211 days after his birthday. His birthday is May 7th. He got injured December 4th, Sunday Night Football. 211 is the 47th prime, and Seattle's up on the 47th parallel, and lo and behold, the score of the game was 40-7. The Seahawks won by 33. 40 plus 7 is 47. You know, how fitting. You know, Earl Thomas, this horrible injury 211 days after his birthday, the 47th prime in Seattle, where this number shows up all the time. The most famous landmark in Seattle is the Space Needle, which has a rotating restaurant that does a full rotation every 47 minutes. When I first moved to Seattle, I didn't have a clue about numerology or gematria. When I first moved to Seattle, the address I moved to was 211 Valley Street. You know, 211, the 47th prime. And in one of my earliest videos, I explained how the numbers 47 and 74 always come at me in this world. It's so weird, I can't explain it. But it's like I have a magnetic attraction to those numbers. 2 years ago, I put out a video how when I was first learning this, it was April 7th. It was April 7th. I'll never forget it. And I got two of the weirdest text messages. You know when somebody texts you or tries to call you that you haven't talked to in forever? Two girls texted me that I had not talked to in forever. One of them 2 years, the other one more than a year. They both texted me on the same day, and I'd never done their name gematria before, but I decoded their names because they both texted me on April 7th out of nowhere, And one's name was Maddie, which summed to 47, and the other's name was Trish, which summed to 74. And I thought, how weird. These two girls texted me on April 7th, a date that can be written 4/7 or 7/4. And there's been a number of other weird things in my life since that, just being aware of this. So there's definitely something organic going on in this world by the numbers, which is probably why these Freemasons are so much about scripting things around the numbers and setting things up by the numbers. Somehow some things naturally manifest. And perhaps for Earl Thomas, it was this injury which may end his career. I want to put an end to the NFL and rigged sports, but I don't want to see a man like Earl Thomas, who's still young, end it like this. I mean, to me, that's sad. I'd rather shut down the NFL and rigged sports and bring back people like Earl Thomas to play in an honest league, He might never play football again because he busted his leg so bad, reportedly, in the scripted game. And with regards to the Seahawks winning by 33, the Seahawks are one of 3 teams with a 33 name. They are the Lions, the Bengals, and the Seahawks. The Seahawks are the only team to win the Super Bowl on the 33rd day of the year. February 2nd. That was over the Broncos. They won with 43 points. Seattle Seahawks equals 43. Perfect. So here's the college national championships. Or here's the big championship games. The winner of these games will meet in the final championship. I suspect Alabama will knock off Washington and Ohio State will upset Clemson. If it was Alabama-Clemson, that'd be a repeat of last year. But here's why I like Alabama and Ohio State. If you missed my recent work on the shooting at Ohio State, that was a false flag planned hoax, planned from at least September 23rd of 2015, which I showed. So real quick before I show you about that shooting and what it riddled, the date of the national championships, January 9th, 2017, a date with 47 numerology. Ohio's the birthplace of American football. Ohio equals 47. The first NFL Super Bowl was in the 47th season of the NFL, the 66-67 season. That Super Bowl was played January 15th, 67, a date with 83 numerology, football 83. But check this out. Here's what happened at the shooting that riddled it was synced up with the college national championship. And I said this the day of, we might see Ohio State win the championship. The shooting happened November 28th. From November 28th to the championship is 42 days. 42, an important number to the Freemasons. Their symbol is the compass and square with the big G, which is 42. Touchdown 42, Freemason 42. The last time Ohio State was in the national championship, maybe I didn't, or here we go. Here we go. The last time Ohio State was in the national championship, they beat the Ducks 42-20. Still remember when they scored that last touchdown, the announcer screamed, "Dots the I on this Ohio State championship." And I was saying, yeah, just with the Freemason signature, that's what that was. From the year prior, Ohio State beat Michigan with 42 points as well. This shooting came right after they beat Michigan, their biggest rival of the year. The score was 27-30. When you add 27 plus 30, it equals 57. When you write out 57 as a word, it sums to the same thing as championship, the same thing as Super Bowl. I think we're going to see Ohio State do it this year. Pull it out from the 3 seed. So last thing I want to mention, again, every week I do these write-ups for all the games, who I think is going to win, and I make a discussion thread. And every week there's about this many comments, right around 300. And there's people like Jeremy White who post out these brilliant things, knocking out all the numbers. Jeremy White, like myself, he makes mistakes in his picks. But the thing is, if you come and you read all this information, all these shares, all these observations, all these decodes, this is how you're going to learn the language. This is how you're going to learn the skill. You can follow my channel, but you can also come here and read. Just remember to ignore the trolls, Harry Butts, Mike Manning, Mike Smith. Ignore those names and you'll be all right. So I think we covered it all, Truth Seeker. Your pro sports, they're definitely scripted. It's undeniable. It's a family affair. It's a Freemason affair. I really wish this news would go viral. I mean, did you guys see the game last night? I don't watch that many games, but I watched last night's game. They kept showing the Jets fans all game and just how depressed, and I mean, they're like sitting there with their beer like this and like hung over the rail. And the people who run the leagues, this is what they get off on. They love fucking the fans in their ass. They love the negative emotion. If you've never seen that movie Monsters, Inc., put out by this same gang, it's about how a group of monsters needs negative emotions, fear, sadness from people. That's how the people who run this world operate. So often when I make my wrong calls in these games, I'm not thinking about that later. How much these people love to fuck over the home fans in these games. We should look at what the Monday night record is for the season. I feel like the home teams are losing a lot more on Monday night this year than normal. You need to go back and look at that. Oh, and one more very important point, in case I didn't say it. Here, we can just look at the standings right here. There are 6 teams that are 6-6. Think about it. 6-6-6. The Bills. Let's go through all these teams. The Bills are 6-6. That's 1. 3 teams in the AFC South, the division that's hosting the Super Bowl, are 6-6. The Texans, the Colts, the Titans. And think about this. Okay, the Titans are originally the Houston Oilers. The Texans are in Houston hosting the Super Bowl. And Andrew Luck played his high school ball in Houston. There's a riddle going on here. Pretty sure Colts and Texans play each other next week. Colts win that, they should be in first place. Okay, so now we have 4 teams that are 6-6. The next 6-6 team is the Minnesota Vikings. That's 5. And the 6th one is the Green Bay Packers. 6-6 teams. How perfect, right? Oh, Truth Seeker, these people are so bad with their scripting. All right, until next time. Encore, one last important point I forgot to make. The national championship will be in 2017. Alabama will be playing for their 17th national title. Again, last year they won number 16 to start 2016 by the numbers. Ohio is also the 17th state. So think about it. Ohio 2017, the date numerology of 47. This is why I'm leaning right now without doing the full research towards Ohio State upsetting Alabama. I'll be putting out another video to confirm, but right now I'm leaning Ohio State over Alabama, the 3 seed over the 1. Until next time.